Hello and welcome to Console Shock, retro and modern gaming chat with me, Trev, and as always, Stu. And Stu, kind of
Yes.
like a rule for this episode,
Yep.
probably ongoing, really. Let's try not to talk about any kind of stupid, crappy, like weird football match or something we've been to, or football at all, because that's like football and probably sports really is kind of kryptonite to the sort of the audience that we're. You know, they're all like kind of ew sports game, so we can't really. This is a serious video gaming podcast. So when we talk about, we need to, you know, be on point with the things that people want to hear about. So if it's a modern thing, we need to talk about Elden Ring a lot. If it's a retro thing, it's got to be just JRPGs. So are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't really like football very much.
No one wants to know about your FIFA stupid career mode or Reckoning Town game. We're just going to talk about.
I rarely go and watch England under-21 games.
Yeah, maybe the occasional under-22 or over 22.
That's right. And I mean, I rarely go to Ghent and buy a ticket to watch Ghent, the Buffaloes.
You've got to explain why you've made these references now.
Right, okay. Me and
People
Trev.
Like, what is he on about? The mental.
Me and Trev, we went to watch England under-21s, and unfortunately they lost to Croatia, but they played extremely well, dominated the game, but maybe just held onto the ball a little bit too long and didn't quite shoot early enough. And then this week I'm going away for a couple of days, and part of that is going to Ghent, and I've got myself a ticket for KAA Ghent, which means Royal Athletic Association Ghent, maybe, I'm not sure.
KKK Ghent.
It's no KAA.
Oh, right.
I would not support the KKK
In
Ghent.
Yeah.
That's, so I'm going to go and watch them this weekend. And myself and Trevor were talking about we want to go and see a random game before the end of the season, preferably on a Tuesday night.
Do you think Ghent play in the Kent Senior Cup? Maybe they play in the Ghent Senior Cup.
I think Susie Dent, who is from Kent, plays for Ghent.
Is it Whitstable near Ghent? Or is it in Ghent? I can't remember.
Whitstable is, I mean, in the scope of the whole world, Whitstable's very close to Ghent. It's in Kent, but in you know,
it's
if you're going to go,
that's what I said.
I want to go to Caracas or Whitstable, what's closest to Ghent? It would be Whitstable, would be very, very close, but still a long journey.
It's in Ghent. It's in Ghent. Yeah. What's Kent? It's the same thing, isn't it?
Kent.
Ghent. You've lost me.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway,
let's move on.
Let's talk about, you know, we already broke our rule with the whole football thing. We can stop it now. So, we were kind of thinking. Well, we normally start off with, you know, what we've kind of been playing. I can kind of go into that a little bit, actually, although it was something that I've actually been playing a couple of weeks ago, really, was when I kind of finished up with this particular game. More than that, actually, maybe about a month ago, bloody hell. But I actually finished Breath of the Wild, finally, which was good. Probably the first Zelda game I've actually no, I completed the original Legend of Zelda, but sort of 3D Zelda game, the first one that I've completed. And yeah, it was I think if I look at my sort of play time on the old Switch, it's about 55-ish hours it took me in total.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I kind of messed around a little bit. I wasn't just going from sort of, you know, mission to mission without doing anything else.
So you've got to do lots of the temples, haven't you, to get the hearts? Because I think I found that
it does kind of, you know, strongly push you in that direction, and you will end up doing a minimum at best. But that's a big focus of it is the temples, which can vary from being frustrating and tedious to sort of kind of fun. So a bit of a mixed bag on those. You played Breath.
Yeah, I actually played it quite well. I've got quite a sort of storied history with it. Well, for myself really, but obviously I bought it when it came out originally for the Switch. It was the game I got with the Switch, probably like you did. Yeah. And I sort of played it. You know, I got off the tabletop sort of mountain, and then I think I go, okay, let's go this way. Then suddenly everything was just killing me. and I thought,
Yeah,
oh
you die
god,
a hell of a lot in that game. Yeah,
and it was just, oh my god, all my weapons, and I was just, it's just the whole game is me gonna be sneaking around and just dying, really
yeah,
easy.
yeah.
And then I thought, well, I'll give it another go. Years later, and this was probably about 6 months ago, I got it for the Wii U, believe it or not. So I picked it up for the Wii U, and so I did the tabletop mounting part again. And actually, I sort of, quite enjoyed it. It plays very well on there. Then I got down. I think I went a sort of a different direction, and everything seemed to be my level. So I was actually going, oh, okay, this is I'm killing stuff. I'm progressing, and so I did quite a few of the sort of the temples to get more of the hearts. And I think I got to one of sort of the main dungeons a little bit too early, because I was just
The divine beasts, I think.
the divine,
There's four of them.
Yeah, so I got to one of those a little bit too early, and maybe I should have done a few more sort of temples first. And it was just one of those things where I thought, oh, this is going to be quite a challenge to sort of complete the whole game, so that sort of put me off it. But I know the new one's coming out. What's it called? Tears of the
Kingdom.
The Kingdom, and everyone's sort of talking about, let's pre-order it. Let's get this, and to me, it almost looks like it's its own game in its own right, but it looks just like Breath of the Wild.
Pretty much, yeah. It'd be a bit annoying if you have to start again as like basically a half-naked dude with no energy, no weapons or anything. That would kind of be annoying. It'd be amazing if you could like import your save, and I know that will make you a little bit overpowered at the beginning. But it'd be nice just to have something to show for all that nonsense you had to go through in the first game, and not just start as a weak,
that nonsense,
annoying dude. Yeah,
that's what games are, just nonsense.
Yeah, I don't even think there's going to be a thing now where it's like the Elder Scrolls games, where every Elder Scrolls game at the start you've just been in prison and you get released. And that's the same start in everyone. I'm sure the next Elder Scrolls will be the same.
I think the Zelda game, you're going to start with nothing.
You're going to start off as a little half-naked dude with a stick, and you've got to spend hours. Yeah.
Exactly, learning all the things about the game.
Cooking kebabs and doing all this stuff. Lots of kebabs in Breath of the Wild, I have to say.
I watched the 10-minute sort of preview, and to me,
how long was that preview?
9 minutes.
Okay.
I was watching the 11-minute preview, and it was all
the 10-minute preview.
Yeah, that's the one. And it was all very. It looks so similar to sort of Breath of the Wild. You'll pick up a stick, and that's your weapon.
Almost like an expansion pack, isn't it? Almost.
Exactly.
Like Majora's Mask was.
Exactly. It's like an expansion pack, but with a hell of a lot of content.
Yeah,
There's whole new floating island sort of concept where you can, sort of fly up to them, or
you can build like rafts and boats and like make your own weapons out of doors and things, which is might be kind of fun. Yeah,
I'm not too excited. No, about it, but it will be a masterpiece. It will sell amazingly well, and it will get 10 out of 10 reviews. And
I think the only frustrating bits, I think, for me, and a lot of people are going to get probably annoyed at me for saying this, because they'll be like, "Oh, that's why it's so cool." It's like the weapon damage, the weapons breaking constantly. It doesn't really have it does early on. It is annoying. It doesn't have a huge impact later on, because you can pick up so much stuff that you pretty much always have something in reserve to quickly flip to if a weapon breaks. But the amount of times I'm about to go in for a killing blow against a boss, and like my sword breaks, and I've got to quickly do a button combination to flick to my next one. That's kind of frustrating.
I think Trev, you've got to think. From my point of view, is you keep on switching out weapons because they're breaking. You have to, pick up another weapon. Combine. To me, none of that's fun.
No, it isn't. No,
it's just and something that sort of annoys me about the whole. Actually, the one thing I didn't like about Breath of the Wild, it seemed to be, you're constantly changing weapons, pressing up, pressing down to do different things, and I sort of wanted, is there not a simplified sort of control thing.
It should like auto switch to your next strongest weapon in your inventory. Perhaps would have been a good solution.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of didn't feel quite. I don't know, not a seamless.
I know some of the like get good brigade will be like, well, you just got to do it. That's what it's like in real life. You have to switch to a real. You'll get something else in real life.
Yeah.
No, you can't handhold. You should be handholded through this stuff. You need to I'm like, that's just it's a video game. It's just like we can do what we want, But so there's that. Yeah, I did get the Master Sword at one point, but even that, it doesn't break, but it has a cooldown if you use it for too long. You can't use it for 10 minutes. So you just like you have to stand somewhere, safe for 10 minutes for it to become available again.
I know, but it's things like that make the game sort of not fun. So there's that. And for me, the stamina could get a bit annoying. Although when you've kind of got to the point where you can kind of add yourself about half of an extra stamina wheel, that pretty much covers you for any kind of climbing you may ever need to do to progress in the game. But it's still. I get that it's like a realistic thing and everything, but I think, like I said, it's another thing that doesn't really make the game. And there's stupid little things as well, like when you're wearing metal armor, you can get electrocuted by bad weather. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Again, it's realistic and it's and everything. Well, it's not really, but that's kind of just there to just. I mean, if you go out in a lightning storm, wearing dressed up as a
giant metallic mast, maybe you won't.
Yeah,
have
dressed
the best
up in what's it called? A metal suit, a suit of armor.
Yes.
And then they're standing in the middle of a field with your arms out. You might get electrocuted. Let's be fair. But in reality, it's like the silly things at the start. Oh, if you go this way, you get cold and die.
Yeah.
Oh, this place is too hot. Oh, you die.
Then you can you can either go into a shop and buy something if you've got the money to sort of alleviate that, or you have to go on a side quest to get the mega don't get you electrocuted armor or something, and it's just like, ugh.
But some of these things, do you think they put them in just to make the game
pad it out
longer, as sort of like an invisible wall?
I don't want to be too harsh on it, because some people love that shit and they're like, but I enjoyed learning how to not get hit with lightning and stuff, and I'm like, good luck, more power to you.
Breath of the Wild, it's one of the best games of the last 10 years.
I did enjoy it.
No doubt. It's got a huge amount of depth to it, and it's got. I think what we're doing, and it's rather unplanned, is a few little critiques of actually some of the things that they put in there as maybe a way to be clever, or when in fact what you're really looking for is. You want a fun game that's maybe 20 hours long or 25 hours long, or not that's 40 or 50 hours long with lots of pointless tasks maybe that you have to do, and games. Someone used a term a while ago describing I can't remember what it was, an RPG or something, respecting people's time.
Yes.
And if you're going through a huge, great big like an RPG, if it takes 80 hours to complete or it takes 70 hours to complete, do you get the same enjoyment out of it? And do you need that extra dungeon? And then you come out of that dungeon, it's like, now the boss is over there, we have to go that way, and you complete. And some of these things may be a little bit, I don't know, sort of not respect your time and things like that.
I'll say it took me about 55-ish hours to finish it, and that wasn't necessarily me just bouncing from sort of checkpoint to checkpoint and trying to avoid it, everything. It was kind of at a casual sort of pace, but that was about the limit for me. I mean, I could play, something like FIFA. I could literally spend 200 hours in the career mode, but you're constantly kind of progressing in that. There's nothing really to stop you. Maybe that's
I think
that's boring and terrible, but Yeah.
There was a fun thing on Reddit that I've seen shared around that someone put a review of a certain game on Steam, and they said 1 star. This game is absolute rubbish. Would not recommend. It's broken. They use that term, broken.
T-Lou.
Yeah, don't know what that means, but
yeah, The Last of Us.
Maybe that is broken. They certainly didn't spend anyway.
Indeed.
So they spent 9,000 hours on this game.
Oh yeah, I love
and
that.
They spent 9,000 hours. Did a review, said they don't like it and it was broken, and they played it for another 11,000 hours or 1,100 hours. They spent 900 hours, then gave it a bad review and played it for another 1,100 hours.
Yeah, that's
and
that's
you're just
ridiculous.
like, well, okay, so you didn't like it. You paid it for 900, and you didn't like it. You gave it a negative review. You said it was absolutely broken, but you didn't like it that much. You played it for another 1,100 hours. That's probably. I can't even do the maths. What's 24? What's 24 into 1,100?
I've been trying to find on a similar sort of reviews a hilarious thing that the general public put on the internet. I was trying, as I've mentioned a couple of times, I sort of collect football shirts. I've got quite a sort of biggish collection, and some of those need a bit of TLC, the older ones, because often they have little things applied to them that might fall off over time. And I've got one shirt at the moment that's got a little, like an Adidas kind of little gem that was sort of on the lower bottom half of the shirt, and it's just over time the glue's died on it and it's fallen off. So I've been trying to find sort of fabric glue that would allow me to stick it back on, because I wanted to sort of look like it did, basically. And I was reading a review on a particular sort of kind on Amazon, and one of the reviews was like, "This glue is awful. I tried to glue something together and it just fell off straight away afterwards." 3 out of 5. So not 1 or 0. 3 out of 5, which is like, it's okay.
So it didn't do what it was meant to do.
Didn't do what it was meant to do, but I'll still give it 3 out of 5.
Yeah,
which is like good, really, and so I guess you would kind of class that. But well, it's good that you mentioned personal computers, because we count things like Macs, and Windows.
No. A Mac.
Sorry, what?
A Macintosh Apple Mac is not a PC.
It's a personal computer. PC is a generic term.
No, it's not.
Generic.
No. A PC is only an IBM compatible computer.
An Amiga. An Amiga is a personal computer.
No.
Yes.
An Amiga is a 68,000 based computer.
PC,
so an Amiga is a computer that can be used for personal use.
Therefore,
a PC is a personal computer. A Macintosh is a computer with graphic capabilities that's personal.
Capabilities.
That
kind of works. It kind of sounds good. Like,
yeah, but you've got to stop calling Macs PCs. They're not.
I'm going to use my personal computer now, the Macintosh.
No. A Mac is a Mac. It's not a PC.
Yeah, well, you're talking correct.
Basically, is it PC compatible? So if you get a game and on the back of the box it says, "Oh, this works on the PC," will it work on your Mac? No, it won't. It won't. Does it say it work on your Mac? It won't work on your Mac because it says PC on it.
Yeah, I don't even call it a Mac. I just think I should just call it personal computer. Everyone else can do the math depending on what flavor I'm working on. So.
Well,
I'm going to go on my Mac OS 13, whatever it is now. I would
not describe a Mac as a PC. No way.
Well, you're a computer. Much like people that criticise the Intellivision Amico are gaming racists, you're computing racist, is what I say. Anyway, enough about things that I'm right about. We did want to talk about PC gaming, didn't we? AKA the flavor of gaming that occurs on IBM compatibles like the Compaq and the PC XT, Hewlett-Packard, PC XT, PC 80, the AST computer, all of those up until modern day stuff like Compaq and all of that. So
Compaq still going?
I don't actually don't. They are in there, I think. Yeah,
I don't know.
they used to be
I don't
everywhere.
know. Yeah.
I've often find in this country, Toshibas are very common, and when it comes to sort of older computers, yeah. Anyway, you're thinking about getting a new gaming PC,
I am,
I believe.
and so what I'm doing. What sort of triggered this is about a month ago. I went to a certain sporting event with Trev, and I bought his EverDrive off him. He had an older one, so I bought that off him. And I thought, actually, I'll sell all my old Mega Drive games now. So I, one by one, sold those online, and that sort of give me a little bit of a budget to go out and get a computer.
I bought a whole bunch of Mega Drive games off him. He was very, very generous.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So I've got this old computer. This is, an i7 6000, so about 7 or 8 years old, or maybe 6 years old now. And it's all-in-one screen and it's an all-in-one computer PC. And so I put this on eBay, and I said, come buy my computer, offers accepted. And then no one really looked at it. And then I got an offer from someone, and I put on there clear as day, everywhere, all over the advert, collection only, collection only, collection only. So then, of course, someone puts a bid in, an offer, makes me an offer, and I accept it. And then he goes, can you send me some more photos? Here's some more photos. Okay. Right. Well, can you deliver it? No, it's collection only. He goes, yeah, but I'm in Slough. But it's really unpractical. I can't get it into. I haven't got a box. I haven't got the packing material. It will get damaged if I post it. And then he was messaging me. Well, can I? If you meet me near Slough,
was this eBay? Was this eBay?
Yeah, eBay.
Oh,
and it's a collection only, and it's driving me insane. And then I get a message from him at 10 o'clock saying, I'm free at 12 o'clock tonight till 1 o'clock. Well,
was that a date he was asking you for?
Well, I'm going to be asleep.
Naked in my bed.
I'm going to be asleep. So anyway, I thought I had this computer sold, and anyway, it's not sold, and eBay's full of idiots. Everyone on eBay is an idiot that can't read an advert, and so I've ignored him for 2 days, and I don't know. I think I can cancel the sale. Can I cancel the sale?
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I've been selling some stuff mainly, and going back to what I was about earlier, I've got a big load of football shirts that I wanted to get rid of, and I've been doing them in bundles on eBay. I've sold a few of them. It's not been too bad, but the trouble is, like, they obviously side on the buyer quite heavily, which is good if you're the buyer, but at the same time, you could end up selling something, getting the money for it, and then maybe a month later they'll be like, "Oh, I don't like it now." And I don't know if they would be able to get the money back from that, but then you can't. You might end up to refund them quite a ways down the line.
That's just part of eBay, Trev. That 1 in 10 people say, "Oh, I didn't get it," and then you just have to refund them. You can't go, "No, I'm not going to refund you."
No,
because
it'll
just automatically refund.
Yeah,
and unless you paid for a sort of a signed for track service, which you should do on more expensive things. But when
you make sure you use Hermes or Every, the really good, reliable, postage services.
Yeah, I don't know if that's and they're not great, are they?
Yeah, I was making it.
Okay, yeah. So I think that's one of the, sort of the problems with eBay, but so this computer's still sitting here, and I think I'm going to message him a few more times, and then I'll just insist he comes, between 6 and 7 when it's convenient for me. And
it's never a good way to sell large, bulky items as well. I know sometimes it might be the only way, but I mean, I've bought some things like that. I bought like a Power Mac G5, and it got packed like they're big, heavy things, unfortunately. But the guy was willing to post it. He posted it, and I got it. It was in an absolute state. The handle broke on it, and it's made of metal, so it really have to be majorly thrown around to damage it. But Yeah, well, luckily I was the buyer then. I was able to say, "Look, it's buggered, mate," and I just got the refund. And I ended up throwing it away. I sort of took out some of the parts that could be reused and threw it away. So yeah, it's a nightmare.
So what this has all led me to, sort of down the route of actually, I want to get a PC, just for the simple reason that I think I haven't had a PC for years, and there's so many sort of different types of games on there that you can't play on consoles, and things like that. And I just want to sort of explore that world again, because I think that was what sort of soured. I don't know if people remember, but myself and Trevor both got a Steam Deck both at the same time. But for me, it was, I hadn't really used a PC other than for work at all, really. So like gaming on one was something that was a little bit sort of, I don't really do that anymore. And that's what I used to do, like all of my gaming on. So for me to get a PC to, play sort of top-down RTS strategy games, some first-person games, and explore sort of different types of sort of games on there. And
the games you can't
sort of
play on a console, like Uncharted and T-Lu and
I honestly, The Last of Us, isn't it? Yeah, Last of Us. Yeah,
T-Lu, yeah. Well, you can play it on a PC if you're happy to wait an hour at the title screen for it to do the shader compilation. If that's a fun thing you'll get to deal with.
The whole point is, to me, there's certain games that you play on a console, and The Last of Us or T-Lu would be something that you would play on a console. So I'll have my console style games, and then I'll have games that I'll play, PC games.
Well, potentially there's other benefits as well, isn't there, that you probably already thought about? But if you get a big Steam library of a couple of hundred games, like I've got, like a lot of people end up with, because the games are so cheap. You can have your desktop PC that if you want to, obviously these days you don't have to have them at a big desk that you set out. You can plug it into a TV and sit on the sofa and have a wireless Xbox controller. You could be like, great, that's what I want to do tonight, is play on the big screen. Other times, hey, you might buy a Steam Deck again and be like, I can play those same games in that library. The saves transfer across. I can boot it up on that. On my lunch break in the office, it's in my bag. I can play the game. And there's other devices that are going to come out. So your games are more on the PC kind of transferable, I guess now. There weren't so much, also there was gaming laptops you could buy, you could take with you, but now it's kicked up a notch with the handheld gaming PCs that have added that factor to it. So yeah, that's a great kind of thing you could do now as well.
And I think that's part of because I think I would have enjoyed the Steam Deck a lot more, and certainly kept it, if I had a library of 200 games. And for me, I was like, went into my Steam Deck and I had games from 10 years ago, and they're like, oh, wow, oh God, they're not optimized for it. Or I think one game was designed to work on the Steam Deck. I can't even remember which one that was. And I sort of felt the whole experience. I thought, oh, okay, well, I could pay for some £40 games to, that potentially sort of work on there. And I really just didn't sort of feel it. So I think for myself, getting a gaming PC, with a dedicated sort of graphics card, it is sort of the best sort of way to go. And I think it will be sort of like a little bit of a sort of journey of engaging with sort of PC gaming. And of course, I know my way around PCs. I had that one which I talked about, which I'm trying to sell if anyone's interested. You have to collect it.
Oh yeah, they only sell it to you if you're available between midnight and 1, and you're in Slough.
Yeah, exactly. So from my point of view, is like, I know way around gaming, or I know way around PCs, and upgrading them and doing bits and pieces. But actually, sort of the gaming, I'm not too sort of clever on. But I think it will be interesting to sort of get back into that. And
what about emulation? Would you be tempted to? I mean, I actually finally got CMU working on my Steam Deck. Actually, I haven't even tried to do it on my what was my main gaming PC, my laptop. My Steam Deck has kind of taken over completely now. But Seamu's a Wii U emulator.
Oh wow!
And I didn't. I was always sort of thinking, even though I'd heard people say, "Yeah, this game runs well, this does that." I'm like, does it really? Though, these are people that are just happy to compromise to things being crap.
Yeah.
But I actually installed it, and I got some games going that I thought I might play, like the Wind Waker and Super Mario 3D World and New Super Mario Bros. U, and they ran perfectly. I mean, there's a thing. I was thinking, how does it work with obviously the two screens that you might need, but you can do sort of a shortcut that you can bind to one of the buttons on the Steam Deck.
Flip cut, yeah.
It'll just flip to the other screen because a lot of games don't really need you to look simultaneously. Obviously, there are games that you probably can't really play because of the motion controls, like Wii Sports and things. I'm sure there's workarounds and we could pair Wii Wiimotes to it somehow, perhaps. But for just basic sort of your everyday, more standard games that the Wii U had. It's been great so far. If I've got an urge to play a Wii U game, it's been really my Steam Deck now that I've just been playing them on. Yeah. Is that something you've thought about doing?
I think a little bit to a certain extent. I think I might have to reach out to you, Trev, for a little bit of sort of help of sort of pushing, pointing me in the right direction. And I'm thinking, just to sort of. I don't know. I think there's sort of almost like lots of, I don't know, sort of PC games that I sort of want to try first, rather than sort of emulation. And I mean, I don't know. It's how far. I mean, if Wii U can be emulated, I know I've heard people saying, "Oh, Switch can be emulated," and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can go all the way up to. I mean, I think the Xbox 360's got a fairly okay emulation. Nothing like you would probably a PlayStation 1 is emulated, where you can run everything and everything. And I've tried our PC, I can't remember what it's called, but the PlayStation 3 emulator on the PC, and that's been pretty good. On my, I haven't done any. I've seen people run it on the Steam Deck. Our PCS3, yeah, that. But I played like Ridge Racer 7 on my PC, and it ran pretty well. It was mostly 100% playable, but my gaming laptop was a bit old now, so it wasn't quite holding at 60 frames a second like it would on an actual PS3.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I had like an RTX 30 something or other, or a 40, probably a 20 something, it would probably be solid, 60 frames per second. I'm not sure how well it would run on a Steam Deck, but it's funny actually talking about PC gaming. I had a little moment where I was like, I really want a good arcade racing game that I can play on my Steam Deck. It's the one thing I'm kind of missing. And I completely forgot that in my library, on my Steam library, that probably a game I bought way, way, way long ago, I had Ridge Racer Unbounded.
Oh, wow.
Oh, Christ, I haven't played that in ages. I wonder if it'll work on my Steam Deck. And also, it's in my library. I just thought, select it, on the Steam Deck, and it'll download and install. And yeah, it ran perfectly. I mean, it's from 2012, so but I could max out all the graphic settings, and it's great on the Steam Deck. It's better than the 360 and PS3 version, which came out.
I should go back and get it for the 360, but it's actually going to be a really, really good game, to be honest. But it's sort of held back by having the Ridge Racer title.
It's bizarre, yeah. I mean, I love the Ridge Racer games, but it's not.
It's not a Ridge Racer. Who it was the people that made Burnout Paradise made it? Is that right?
I don't think it was those guys. It was Big Something Games. Hang on, let me look this up while we're talking. But it's more like, but the gameplay wise, it's a lot like Burnout. Yeah. It has Ridge Racer elements to it. A lot of the cars that are in the Ridge Racer games are in there, and the music is very Ridge Racery. But you wouldn't, if it wasn't called that, you wouldn't think it was related. Bugbear Entertainment developed it, who made Flat Out, Wreckfest, Sega Rally Revo.
I mean, Wreckfest is a 10 out of 10 game. That's brilliant. If you ever get a chance to play that. But for me, going back to what you're saying about emulation, and doing like 360 emulation, I'd rather just do it on a 360.
Me too. At the moment,
I just think you get a better experience.
It'll get better as the years go by. I'm sure in maybe 10 years it'll be like a NES emulator is now.
Of course it will. But for me, when it comes to emulation, PS1 is maybe the latest that I'd like to sort of investigate. But I don't think it's my priority, really, sort of for a computer to sort of go for. But never say never.
Yeah, it's not a one and done thing a lot of the time. I mean, I've got a pretty good RetroArch setup, but really to get it to where it is today, that probably took years to get to. I mean, there's but the basic stuff, what is now kind of basic, is like NES, Super Nintendo, Mega Drive, the cartridge-based sort of 16-bit and 8-bit systems. Those you can pretty much get up running in a RetroArch in a matter of minutes. But when you're talking things that need a BIOS, like, a BIOS file, and you've got to find those files in the dark corners of the internet, put them in the right folder in RetroArch. I mean, they're not difficult, super technical things, but they're not one and done things. You might have to reconfigure controls, and like MAME is quite difficult to get running because there's all kind of weird files and settings you have to deal with. Once you've got it all done, it's great. And I've got RetroArch on my Steam Deck, but I kind of basically copied the RetroArch folder that I'd already had set up on my other PC and just kind of dropped it into the Steam Deck. And so everything was kind of ready to go without really having to do anything. If I was starting from scratch,
I think you hit the nail on the head, really. And that's what sort of puts me off.
Yeah.
Because I'd almost don't want to go. It always just seems sort of too complicated.
Yeah.
And I remember when back in the day when I had a PC, and it was always a case of my mate would come over and then we'll sit down, try and work things out on the computer to get things working. And I feel like I'm just too old for that. And it's the last thing I was like, Trev, come round, show me how to do it, or let's get on TeamViewer, or I'll share my screen or something. And to get all these things sort of set up, and it's a little bit of a sort of a challenge that's potentially a little bit too.
I mean, if you're able to hack like a PSP or a Vita or something, which I know you've done.
I've actually hacked my Vita, and
if you're able to, I mean, I'm sure you probably just went on a YouTube tutorial and just kind of followed it or something. If you can if you know how to do that, you'll be fine. But if you're just sticking to gaming, there isn't really any. Not these days. There's not really any issues for the most part. Well, okay. We're just saying that just we're sort of taking the mick out of Telu for having awful, issues, but it's not really because the game won't run, or you've got to do a load of background work to get it to run like you did in DOS in the 90s. You just, with Steam, you buy the game, hit install, it downloads it, installs it, turn on your Xbox controller, bang, it'll just play. I mean, you've still got to deal with Windows. There's no. What I would love is if they, because the great thing about the Steam Deck is you haven't got to deal with Windows at all. So you haven't got that nagging you for things, for updates, for like pop-ups and all the stuff that an operating system just does generally, which kind of gets in the way of just making it a pure gaming experience like a console. Whereas the Steam Deck is like that, is like a console. A Windows gaming PC, I'm not sagging it off because I have one and I like it, but obviously you got to turn it on, you got to wait for log into Windows. So you need a keyboard and a mouse really with you.
100%.
Into the telly across the room. You'll need a wireless keyboard and a mouse just to get to the desktop, perhaps. And then you've got to click on icons on the desktop to launch Steam. And then maybe that's got a login that you haven't saved your thing on. So you've got to type that in and log in. And, so there's all of that, which makes it a bit more clunky to deal with. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker, really, but it's not super streamlined. I would love it if they released like a Windows. They might do this. Maybe SteamOS will light a fire under their ass. But if they release like Windows Gaming Edition, where it literally hides away all of that stuff and gives you a nice interface that you can control from an Xbox controller. You can have all your games as icons and a nice little screen. Basically, make it like an Xbox, I guess.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like, Trev, they've done that already. It's called an Xbox.
Well, yeah.
But
for PC games, a PC gaming version of that,
yeah. But I've almost sort of seen, when we talked about the sort of Steam Deck, one of the things I thought I said at the time is, oh yeah, there's going to be copycats from everyone and their dog coming out, and that's sort of ringing true now.
Yeah,
And
Iron Neo and all that.
yeah, Iron Neo. I saw the Rock
GPD win, the Rock something or other,
Rock
yeah.
Ally or something.
That's
And
the
then
one thing with the Steam Deck is obviously the hardware as it is now is kind of a PS4 Pro, slightly under a PS4 Pro. So obviously, I mean, I think it can run like TLU. I'm sure it'll run it a little bit better with some patches, but it's only going to be sort of a 720p unless 30 FPS experience, and that'll be some games just won't really run well at all coming out in the next year. But I think in 2 years, maybe if they release an upgraded version, it will bring it up to the level of like it can play a PS5 and Xbox Series games to a solid level. But I think, some of those handhelds that are coming out, I think you're about to talk about.
But that's
them,
it. It's all about competition now, and they're all trying to one up each other. And this one is twice as good as the Steam Deck. This one's 150 times better than the Steam Deck, or this one is battery life that's better than the Steam Deck, and that's what everything is sort of compared to.
Trouble is, the price is so bad.
Well, exactly. They're coming out. Well, yeah, it's twice as much power, but you pay £1,000 for it rather than £500. So
yeah, but in reality,
I should hope it's twice as much.
Yeah, and in reality, I mean, I know there's some of them have like 1080p screens, but you're not really going to get the best performance running games of that resolution. If you're looking at a 720 screen or 800p as it is on the Steam Deck, the games running them, you're going to get you'll get like 10 more FPS, which might be great for some people, but is that worth an extra 600 quid?
But I think you've gone down the right route of that. They keep on producing these products, and I like the fact that they're sort of Windows based. To me, that's a positive.
Yeah, that is one advantage. Definitely,
you sort of stressed sort of the negatives of that, and I'm thinking, well, actually, that's a positive.
It means the games will be easier to get going. Yeah,
and that was one of the sort of bugbears for me, and I would like to see these machines, but Windows based with more power. But use less power, and so because they're all sort of talking about they've all this hyper gaming mode where you can get 60 frames a second, but the battery lasts 7 minutes.
Yeah,
it's like, well, hold on. Well, okay, I know some people plug it in, and that Rock Ally one, it has a socket on the top. So you can plug in a 4090 mobile chip from another box.
You could have an external GPU,
an external GPU,
which is a great idea. I think if you're just going to plug it into a TV when you're at home, you can get the maximum power. Basically.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, it is a good idea, but then why don't you buy a laptop with a 4090 GPU in it and then plug that into your TV? And it's
you're basically making like a Super Nintendo Switch, really. Obviously the price is probably a lot more higher than what you would pay for just a gaming PC that had a 4090 in it. But if you literally that's great. I can have it plugged into the 4090 at home, get the maximum whatever. And then when I want to, just sit in bed and play, I can yank it off the chain, take it to bed, and I could still play the same game. I'll just dial down the settings, So that I can see appealing. Yeah. I think it's a great solution that no one will really actually sort of commit to buying, except for the odd person with more money than sense. It'd be good if they made a dedicated. Someone might end up making like a nice sort of very cool dock that has that card in there, as opposed to you just kind of grabbing some random eGPU in a box thing from like eBuyer or something, and then you kind of dock it in, and it the trouble is with a lot of these things, because they're PC based. They're not really getting any sort of subsidy on like the parts or anything, whereas Valve went to who is it that makes the APU in the Steam Deck?
AMD? No?
AMD, yeah. Sorry, the name escaped me for a minute. AMD, they went to them and look, can you make us something that does this? And they were like, they could buy 5 million at of them and get a huge discount and pass that on to the consumer. Whereas, the rock guys and
well,
like
the whole point is, Trev, that they know that everyone that buys a Steam Deck is going to, they're part of their ecosystem. So they're going to spend, let's say $150 a year on games, or $200 a year on games, or they'll be buying points, or they'll be buying things for, what's it, skins for guns and stuff through the Steam Deck. Through the Steam store, sorry. So the whole idea is, well, actually, they can afford to do it. Let's sell the machine for $450. Let's sell it for $400. It doesn't matter, because the money is actually going to come at the back end, where people are buying all of these extra services through the Steam store. And I know you can circumvent that, but it's not easy to do.
No, it's very clunky to use like EA Play and those.
Exactly,
you can do it, but
there's ways around it. There's ways around it, but 90% of people are not going to do that. And then the whole point is, if you go on to the Rock, Rock Ally, or the other sort of systems, well, you're buying the games from Steam anyway off there, or you're buying them from the Xbox, or the place, or the
Game Pass,
Game Pass, or the Windows Store, or or Good Old Games, GOG. So they're not getting those sales that then go, actually, because of the Steam Deck, our sales have gone up 10%. So that justifies the the $50 that we lose on each and every game. So I think there's lots of sort of swings and roundabouts, and I think sort of what interests me is actually, what will the Steam Deck 2 be like? If they can do that, and they did an amazing job, I think, with the Steam Deck 1, what can they do with the Steam Deck 2? Once we've got a larger install base, and could they even license out their Steam OS to go onto all of these other systems? And
maybe they're a little bit hamstrung with the fact that they do like to get a customized APU, and they need to sort of get AMD to help them with that. So they can't just go and grab whatever chip someone's knocked out and just bundle together all the stuff and release it. That's probably one of the bad things about Iron Neo. A lot of people say, well, they do make powerful stuff because they can just make whatever they want whenever they want. They're not really beholden to waiting for someone to make a custom thing for them. But the trouble is, they just keep knocking out handhelds one after the other, a couple of them a year. So if you've got one that's just been superseded, the support might just fall off a cliff for it at that point. They won't bother updating whatever software they've got for it. They won't bother even helping to get them repaired or anything. So there's that, which, Steam obviously got a much better ecosystem around the Steam Deck, because they're not dropping it within a year because they've released a new one. Yeah,
well, that's it. Steam's going to be around for a long, long time. And Trev, I wanted to go through the specs of the computer I'm looking at. So I want to get. I don't know how.
Where are you getting it?
Like where?
Yeah. Are you going to build one, or are you just going to get a pre-built?
No, I'm going to buy a pre-built one.
Yeah.
And now on what was it? There's nothing, but there's a couple of Facebook groups that talk very highly about advanced systems in Middlesbrough.
Okay.
And so I've always had that in the back of my. I'll get one.
The first place you think of is Middlesbrough, I think, when you think of gaming.
Advanced systems. So I went to their website, and they've got lots of sort of machines that I think they sort of build them.
So all the robot fake accounts in Facebook join these groups and tell you to go to this shop. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they could be fake accounts. I don't know, to be honest. I could be completely scammed here for all I know. I might just give them a ring beforehand, just make sure he's got a Middlesbrough accent.
Yeah,
and I'll just ask him some rather basic questions about the
Middlesbrough football team in the 90s. And if they can't answer that,
exactly, they're out of here.
Yeah,
but it's an AMD Ryzen based Ryzen 5 5600X 5600 with 16 gig of RAM, and NVIDIA RTX 3070 8 gigabytes graphics, and 1 terabyte NVMe. So one of those little, what's it, chewing gum looking stick hard drives.
Things, yeah.
And so an ASRock Phantom Gaming 4 main board, motherboard. So I think that's...
What GPU did you say?
3070, basically.
Yeah, that's really the be all and end all. Really, is the first two things that I probably, because you're always going to get a pretty decent CPU with these things. Not going to chuck in some like Celeron, thing or something that's from that's supposed to be in a laptop. You're always going to get and games don't tend to hammer the CPU, although there's some weird like outliers. Like TLU is actually one of the reasons why it runs like crap, is because it hammers the CPU for some reason. Most of them are just going to be purely, doing what they need to do through the GPU. So you probably would say, a 3090 is or any kind of the higher 30 series is about the level of and just about going over what a PS5 would.
Yes, this is a 3070.
Yeah,
and this
I would
is
say that's a bit marginally better than a PS5. But you can also make it beyond the PS5 with a good. Well, you said you've got an NVMe with a good quality NVMe, good fast RAM. That would take it beyond what a PS5 would be able to do. And so it's really, and also so the performance of the hard drive, and probably the storage as well. Because depending on how much you want to, a terabyte is probably the minimum these days with how big a lot of games are. Yeah,
100%. But I think it'd be a case of I'll upgrade it with an SSD, 2 terabyte SSD in the future, and potentially get more RAM and things like that. But this is around the price point I want to pay. Yeah, and there are some that you know this, everyone knows this, but you can spend 3 times as much as what this one is, and
well, yeah, I mean, if an RTX 4090 is like nearly as much as an entire PC on its own, isn't it? It's like $1,500 for a 4090, but it is insanely powerful. It's really also, you need to decide what sort of graphic quality do you want to target for current gen games. You're looking for 4K. 120 frames a second, and anything less than that, it's going to be, be crap. Or you just wanted to get like 1080p, 60.
I've bought a 1440p monitor.
So you want to target that really
now. So
yeah,
I'm looking for 1440p. High to not extreme. I'm not going to do competitive online gaming. I just want sort of a nice experience, and then a little bit of an upgrade path, so I can get a more expensive or a different graphics card in maybe 2 or 3 years, and that's sort of really sort of where I'm looking. And I think what's always been the problem with gaming or PC gaming for me is, I love watching sort of Linus Tech Tips and all these videos, and they're always going, oh, well, if you combine a 4090 with the new 13th gen i9 and you put 128 gig of RAM, and then you can do like 220 frames a second and on 4K, and I'm like, oh, that's what I need to be doing, but I haven't got the money for that. I'm not going to start, selling kidneys and things like that to buy this sort of type of computer. So it's actually, I had a little bit of a realization. Well, actually, I just want to do 1440p gaming.
60 frames a second.
Yeah, 60 to maybe a bit more than that, whatever it comes out. But actually, a lot of my gaming is still going to be on the Xbox. I enjoy gaming sitting on the sofa. This will be in the spare room, and as a little bit of a way to, maybe play sort of games that, as I said before, you can't play on a console. So things like RTSs, stuff with the mouse, maybe some sort of. I was even looking into getting back into sort of World of Warcraft and trying to work out how to do that. And
Second Life.
Yeah, Second Life, and
I assume that's still going.
EVE Online. I want to play a bit of EVE Online.
Star Trek Online.
Star Trek, yeah.
Roblox.
Yeah, you don't need much power to play Roblox, apparently.
Minecraft.
No.
Yeah, so there's that, and there's like, do you want ray tracing on at the time? Some people think it's pointless and they can't tell the difference. I think you can. Weirdly, I think the older the game where they've added it in, the more obvious it is. Like Quake 1 or Quake 2 RTX looks amazing, but then it's like Cyberpunk, ray tracing off comparison v ray tracing on. It's like, the reflections of the water are more accurate. But
when you see videos and it's on and then they turn it off and they turn it on again, you're like, oh yeah,
you can see a difference then.
I can see that. I can really see the difference. But what I tend to find is that on the Xbox you're playing a game, and then after a while you don't actually realise that the graphics are good, or you don't realise the graphics are bad.
It's also the hit to performance that you have to deal with ray tracing.
Exactly, and I'd rather have sort of, I guess, good performance. But this year, the game I played the most, and I've harped on about it before, is Vampire Survivors.
Yes.
And
it won a BAFTA, didn't it?
It won a BAFTA, and they're releasing another expansion, I think next week. So I'm quite excited about that. I'll get that on my Xbox. But the amount of hours I've put into that, which is an absolute, I was reading articles about it, and it was just, the guy was like, oh yeah, no, I copied this other game that had a similar thing, and then I just got all the assets from an asset pack I bought for, I don't know, 100 quid or 50 quid, or it was free, I don't know, and just put them on there and created this game with, and it's actually, to me, I really enjoy playing it, and
I've really enjoyed it.
And
just you don't have to think too much. You can just dive in, do it for 20 minutes.
Or do it for half an hour.
Because you have to. That's how long it's the last for. But you haven't got to worry about huge amounts of controls and menus.
No, you can and another thing, I followed this guy on YouTube who's actually disabled, and he's in a really, I don't know, not a bad way, but he can really just move his hand. And he did it like a vlog, and then he was playing Vampire Survivors just with an Xbox controller, with sort of one hand. And I was thinking, well, actually, the game wasn't designed to be, I don't know the right terms, but great for the disabled community, or the non-able, or forgive me if I'm saying the wrong things, but and he was getting amazing enjoyment out of sort of video gaming, where obviously you tend to need two hands and so on to be able to do all the controls, but this is just the analog stick, and then you have to press A every now and again.
Yeah, exactly.
Not much to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have mentioned it before, but it's a great Steam Deck game as well, because it is that kind of
perfect for that.
It kind of suits a handheld. But it's just a great sort of game that you could just, like I said, because it's why it's good for the Steam Deck is like you kind of feel like those nights when you kind of want to play a game. You don't really want to watch a game that's got huge cutscenes you're going to have to deal with, or loads of controls that maybe you haven't done in a while and you've forgotten. You can just pick up the Steam Deck, get power on, bang, play, and you're in.
That's what's sort of hit the nail on the head with. I bought Metro Prime. I've actually I've been really busy at work, so I've not had a chance to play it. And then the weekend passed, so a couple of days ago, I'd finished all my things at work, and everything was all sorted, all the big meetings I had, and I just had a little exam I had to do. So all that's done, and then so it's a bit of a relief. And so I got Metroid Prime.
I bet you were speaking to everybody at work about going home playing Metroid Prime.
I was.
Yeah.
No one listened to me. So I got Metroid Prime, and I thought, I'm really enjoying it. And then, but it's really it's like it is an old game, but you have to find your save rooms, and of course that's what you had to do on the original. Like Super Metroid, for example.
But there's a lot of like busy work as well. Like you have to scan all the little nuggets in a room to collect enough data about stuff to kind of progress.
Yeah, so there's lots
Yeah.
of that, and then so there's always like going back to having to save, and then it's also like when you're playing Halo, for example. You go into a room, you clear everyone, you move forward, you
So
clear everyone.
they haven't changed that save system then. They haven't just made it a save anywhere thing. It's just now you still
Oh
have to
no,
go
you
into
exactly. You have
yeah,
to go
yeah.
back to a save room. So to remember where that is and go back and save. Not a problem, but that creates problems when you're actually. I just want to have a quick 20 minutes go, progress the game a little bit, and
Yeah, yeah.
then turn it off, save, turn it off, and go to
Jump back
bed.
where you left it, yeah.
Or my train journey's finished, or
Yeah,
life
yeah.
takes over, and that you can't do because you got to go back to the save room. But then in each room you go through, it's like games from the 80s where you go into a room, you kill everything, you go into the next room or the next area, you kill everything, but then when you go back to the previous room, everything just pops up again.
Oh, it respawns everything. Yeah,
Everything sort of respawns again,
yeah.
and of course you got to kill it all again, and to get back to the save room. And I'm thinking, oh God, these are real first world
And you
problems,
can end up
aren't they?
dying, and then you've got you basically will have to go back to the previous save if you end up dying trying to get to the save room. Yeah,
Yeah, well, exactly. So if you die, you lose all the progress you made.
yeah, yeah.
So, and I was doing not a boss, but some big sort of boss type creature, and I died doing on that. So I had to go through about 3 or 4 little areas to get back to where I was, which wasn't a bother. And I
Breath of the Wild is a lot easier on that actually, because Breath of the Wild you could save anywhere, so you could sort of work out a bit where you seem to be dying a lot. Queue it up so you're just about to start doing that, save, and then you could just go and try and figure out what you need to do. Die, cool, just jump straight back. It's like save states, There are certain bits where you can't save, like during a boss battle, like, oh, I've got him to 50% health, I'll save. It won't let you do that, but everywhere else you could just save wherever. So that's great.
I thought that would have been a little bit of a what's it called, quality of life improvement. But though, on the Switch, you can put it down and it just goes into sleep mode anyway. So when you turn it on, you're where you were anyway. So there's no real. It's not a major problem.
Just play the original on like a GameCube emulator.
No way.
Save state the crap out of it. Save scumming, isn't it? That's what people call it. Save scumming, when you just hammer the whatever save facility something's got, so you can kind of cheese your way through a game. I've tried to dip in and out of Metroid Prime before. I think I mentioned recently that I tried to play the original on an emulator.
It's awful controls, Trev.
Yeah, the controls are a bit. I kind of remapped them, so it made them a little bit easier to swallow. But so I was able to sort of play, but I think I got just annoyed with the amount of little tedious tasks you had to do. I'm sure I'm missing the point.
I think they've made it a little bit. It doesn't feel that tedious to do it. Maybe they made it ever slightly easier. On the newer version, but I mean the graphics I think look absolutely phenomenal. And
it reminded me more of the Resident Evil games, the old ones. You have to walk around very deliberately and look at notes and read things and pick things up, and might have to backtrack to a place you were earlier to complete something.
I think there's lots of backtracking. You see stuff and thinking, oh, I'm got the ability to turn into a ball yet, and there's a little hole there. So you have to come back to that a little bit later on, and so on. So
well. Like I said, you could have a PC soon, so you can get a GameCube emulator going and just, cheese your way through it with save states, which is the honourable and best way to do it, in my opinion.
Honourable, no, that is true.
So where are we on the interwebs, Stu?
We're everywhere, honestly. We're all over the shop. Actually, update. Ooh. We are now on... I should have said this at the start. We're on Amazon Podcasts.
Oh my balls!
So I got an email saying sign me up to Amazon Podcasts. So we're on that as well.
Nice one.
So on Amazon Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, any sort of podcast client. I think we're on most of them. And you can find us on the YouTube. Search Console Shock. on Facebook, search Console Shock, and all over Twitter, where I just keep on giving big shouts out to our friends at DK Oldies.
Yeah, your old shop, indeed, as we've established.
DK Oldies.
Donkey Kong Oldies.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently they're getting slightly better, aren't they? I saw a review of something he got recently. They've reduced the prices, isn't it? That's what they've done. Yeah,
I think they've reduced. As I said before, all they've got to do is do what they say they're going to do. They know what to do. They've just got to do it.
Or don't say it's refurbished. Just be like CEX.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you get something dirty, fair enough. You know.
Exactly. If you're going to tell people, I'm going to sell you a pound of rice, you sell them a pound of rice.
Indeed.
You don't, and then just do it
it's
right.
Rocket science, mate.
Just do what you're meant to do, and then life's good. No one will moan about you. Anyway,
isn't it? You would think.
Yeah. You would think.
Anyway, everybody, thank you very much for listening to the latest episode of Console Shock. Take care, and we will catch you in the next one.
Take it easy. Over and out.